Right.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to the United States of America, receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet as we project to the world. Anyway, folks, we have a great show for you today. And without further ado, let's pass it on to the geniuses in el estudio, Senor Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Beber. How you guys doing this morning? How are you guys doing this morning?
And Jack did not get his top billing this morning. You got to start saying that, Egberto, because he is the most important person on the show besides you. Me, I just hide behind the scenes.
Well, you see, the good thing about it is that I actually know how things work. And I know that in our
age
society,
before beauty.
It's not only that, Jack. Let me say this because the brother opened an important door, and it even covers some of the stuff that I talk about. Oprah Winfrey is a billionaire, but Oprah Winfrey, absent that engineer that created that mic, absent that engineer that created the video, absent Marconi who did the electro waves that the waves that carry the things out, there would be no Oprah, no billionaire. We are the ones who create. My brother Howard, we will never, ever, ever forget what your importance and presence is to KPFT. Now, proceed.
Well, thank you. I've already forgotten what the importance is. Jack, what am I doing here? Why am I here?
Well, you keep the machinery of KPFT rolling along as crazy as it is. Sometimes you're always there for everybody that needs some help from you, and that's very commendable. You're dutiful and you're loyal.
Now I'm going to get the big head.
Hey, wait! You can't help what's already there, Jack. I mean, Jack. He's trying to talk about getting a big head. Man, you got a big head already, dude.
Yeah, he's got 100-pound head.
Yeah, we won't tell you what it's full of. All right, Jack, what you got this morning?
All right, this episode examines what happens when political mythology collides with reality. A MAGA leader admits the con. Epstein emails expose how elites truly view ordinary people. A congressman's gun posturing collapses under voter scrutiny. And Canada quietly signals that American volatility makes old alliances unsafe. Together, these stories reveal a power structure fraying from the inside.
Oh, yeah.
Falling apart.
Alrighty then. Well, let's see. One of the things that I pointed out the other day to someone on Facebook is the Canadian boycott of Kentucky whiskey really, really, really hurt a red state. So
Kentucky, yeah.
Yeah. Canada was one of their best customers, and they just went, nope. Too bad. We're not buying from you anymore. And they're scrambling over there. They're hurting. The whiskey industry is hurting because of Trump's policies and the trade war that he wanted to start with Canada. So there you go. Solid proof that Orange Man bad.
And you know what? It's only going to get worse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's also something to be said about an industry that exists knowing it's very addictive substance and very, very harmful to people's lives.
Yeah, cigarettes too.
It's an industry that, the alcohol really affects every organ system in the body if it's misused.
Yes, it is.
To excess.
Yes, it is.
Let's
anyway,
let this
Jack,
man
what's up?
get his show started.
Well, that's it. That's my little rant. That's my little observation.
You have a page over there that you.
No, that's just all headlines, and they're all bad.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well,
you know what? We're gonna be hopeful. Well, wait a minute. I use that word hopeful. That's not in my vocabulary. We are gonna be
Dutiful.
dutiful.
Yes.
Anyway, let's get busy. Let's get busy. Look, folks, we're gonna have a great show for you today. You know what I'm gonna start with because Jack said it first. I'm gonna start with our friend name. Well, I'm saying that with a big asterisk. Marjorie Taylor Greene. To all of well, you know what? I am going to wait a little bit. I'm going to wait a little bit to let more of our MAGA listeners come in, let them wake up and tune in, etc. So I'm going to wait a little bit. Here's where I'm going to start. I am going to start with Epstein. And the reason I'm going to start with Epstein is because of what Anand Hidades had to say yesterday. And it really, really got my blood boiling. So I'm going to play that first. We have learned over the years, because of our indoctrination, to somehow believe that there's something special about the wealthy. And I've been telling you guys all along, there's nothing special about wealthy. I'm not talking about the wealthy that really build on their own and continue to do the right thing. I'm talking about the wealthy folks who use capitalism to really make themselves they claim, but they don't because they're making their wealth on your back. They're making their wealth so much on your back that they have time to do a whole lot of other things, right? You remember when we look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk is in charge of SpaceX, and he's in charge of the electric car, and he's in charge. That's impossible. And he can run around with a chainsaw, and he can run around and do TikTok, and he can do all these things and then claim he's almost a trillionaire, right? No, what our wealthy people do is you do the work and I get the profit. That's capitalism. You do the work, I get the profit. That's why somebody who supposedly runs SpaceX, somebody who supposedly runs Tesla, somebody who supposedly runs TikTok is it's impossible, right? Other people do your work and you play. And how do these people play? Eventually, many of them just turned into deviants. And that's what we call the Epstein class. Because now we're starting to find out that a lot of the free time that they have, because we are the ones who do the work, they spend it doing all the wrong things to satisfy their own internal evils, if you will. I want you to listen to how Anand Hidades points it out. And every time you look at a rich person, look, not all rich people are bad. I mean, the rich people who built stuff for real, good people, but the ones who are using capitalism, the ones who are built on your back. I want you to check this out.
Your latest piece for The Ink, it visits your New York Times op-ed from, I think, last November that takes a closer look at what you believe the files reveal. The piece is titled, "It's So Much Bigger Than Epstein," and in it you write in part, as journalists comb through the Epstein emails, surfacing the name of one fawning luminary after another, there is a collective whisper of how could they? How could such eminent people belonging to such prestigious institutions succumb to this? A close read of the thousands of messages make it less surprising. When Jeffrey Epstein, a financier turned convicted sex offender, needed friends to rehabilitate him, he knew where to turn. A power elite practiced at disregarding pain. What do you mean by that, and who are you talking about?
I mean, look at those names you're going through. It's such a striking thing. It is chairmen of law firms. It is Steve Bannon on the right. Of course, it was Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary and Harvard president, who's on the left. It is Woody Allen. It is football owners. It is billionaires of all stripes, scientists, academics, philanthropists, Bill Gates. And as I was reading the emails, I was thinking, how did all these different people, different ideologies, different professions, different backgrounds, different ages
Gravitate to him.
to this one guy? And as I read the emails and the blasé way in which they were palling around with him, whether some in hot tubs, as we saw there, some dinner meetups, some, as we know, were involved in actual sex crimes. Some may have just been social friends in New York. What I realized this group of people had in common is that what Jeffrey Epstein did, presumably, was not a deal breaker for them. This was years and years and years after his conviction.
Exactly.
And
so they did know.
And he was very clearly trying to rehabilitate himself in New York society and using them. But the point is, it's not like, how could such eminent people do it? These are people who, at every turn in the last generation, have been very capable of looking away from the pain of Americans. They've been very capable of it in the Trump era when their business interests needed to be focused on instead of what Trump is doing to democracy. These are people who in many ways have been part of turbocharging inequality in this country, been able to look away at that pain. They've had a lot of practice looking away at the pain of all the people we sent to Iraq on a lie. So this is a group of people, a class of people, what Congressman Ro Khanna calls the Epstein class, that is very, very good at plugging their ears and not hearing people cry. So when these incredibly brave women have been speaking out, they have shamed, I think, not just one man. This is the important point. They have shamed a class of people who were not only able to overlook those survivors and their stories, but as many of those women have themselves said, were able to overlook a power structure that made that possible.
Right. But if you look at the emails between these powerful men, whether it's Richard Branson or this longevity doctor who works at CBS, they're almost mocking his lifestyle, showing that not only do they know about it, they can joke about it flagrantly.
And some of them were giving him PR advice on how to rehabilitate his image. One of the most striking emails there is actually from sets of emails. This is from Catherine Rumler, who worked as Barack Obama's White House counsel, Democratic administration, White House counsel, lawyer representing the American presidency. Now, in the way that is normal in American life, she's the chief lawyer for Goldman Sachs.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're trading advice. She's getting his advice on, should I become attorney general? She's taking the advice of a convicted sex offender on should I accept Barack Obama's potential offer to be attorney general. And he's telling her, she's giving him advice about his situations in life. And in this very striking scene, she describes driving up to New York and she says, I will stop at a rest stop at some point in New Jersey on my way up to New York. And I will see, no doubt, all these people who are 100 pounds overweight, and I will be shocked by it, and I will be moved to never eat another morsel of food in my life so that I never become like them. I just want to say to people watching this is what people in that class think about you. You don't normally get a glimpse. You see them on TV. You see them on their curated social media that someone else is doing for them. These emails are a glimpse of how people in this Epstein class feel about you. They feel you're a slob at a rest stop that they unfortunately have to stop at to get gas. And very strikingly, that a few years later, Goldman Sachs described the anti-obesity drugs as a $100 billion opportunity, which captures something fundamental. These folks always have a way of profiting. They profit when it's going this way. They profit when it's going that way. When the regimes go, Ken Starr persecuted Bill Clinton for sexual misconduct. Ken Starr reinvented himself as a defender of Jeffrey Epstein. Whatever happens to you and your family, these people will find a way in this Epstein class to make sure they're on top.
And that is what very few people can absorb into their psyche. That, the worship that we have of the wealthy class that were never worth shit. They were never worth it. From the inception of this country, the wealthy were always to have been considered the scourge of the earth. When they needed labor, they got slaves. When they needed to go across the country, they brought in the Chinese to build something they didn't want to build themselves because they didn't want the effort that was always built on the backs of somebody else. And then they take the credit. Elon Musk couldn't tell you what E is equal to MC squared. He couldn't talk about that. He couldn't talk about geosynchronous orbits in any detail or why it works. But he is profiting billions from SpaceX. He couldn't tell you anything about how an electric brake regenerates the energy in a battery, converting the mechanical energy from the electric car and throwing it right back into the battery. He couldn't tell you that. Okay, he talks and I hear him speak about these things sometimes when he's trying to seem smart, and I'm like, no, no, sir, that is not how it works, Mister trillionaire or billionaire. That's not how it works. I am sorry. That's not how it works. And we have to sit back and listen to how great the Musks of the world are. Bill Gates, I know you like him. I like him kinda because of how he's going to use some of his money. But when it was time to get an operating system for IBM, he had the inside information, so he runs, and without telling the other company who has built an operating system, he gives them $50,000. How? Because he was blessed. He was blessed with a silver spoon in his mouth, so he could go give somebody in the early 80s, late 70s. He could give them $50,000, then go to IBM and say, hey, I got a product, and never sell it to IBM and make billions. It's again, and that we worship these people because we think somehow having dollars mean you have intellect. Having dollars mean you have morals. Folks, we got to stop doing this to ourselves. Like this young lady talks about, we have to go out there and do it ourselves. We have to go over and take this country. We have to go over and take Medicare for all. We have to go over and take basic income. We have to go over and take child care. We have to go over and demand vacation time at least a month a year for everybody. We have to do it. And we can't take excuses. We have got to do it. And we cannot accept excuses. Anytime we go ahead and say, oh, well, the politicians what? The politicians are us. I came from another country. I read the Constitution. I realized what we are all about. And by the way, I feel myself an American like any other American because, again, this world is a global world and all these things are interchanged, right? So, folks, we got to get better. Yes, we have to get better and remember that it is us who control things. So when you hear Donald Trump talking about, nationalized election, hell no. And don't even give it a second thought as if, oh, we need to be scared about this. I can't use the word that I want to say on air because it may give me a little legal stuff. But I tell you what, let's go to Brother David on line one. Come on in, David.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Roberto. Yeah, this is a great topic. By dumb luck, when the Epstein files got released a day or so ago, I was just catching random things on YouTube, and I caught the BBC version first. And apparently, I'm trying to remember the fellow's name in British government. He's like the Treasury Secretary over there. He was passing data over to Putin. And so the British government, this guy was in power all the way back to Tony Blair, which is 25 years ago. And he was passing this data off that long ago, and they finally caught him. So it's pretty amazing that, the British government is reeling because of what Epstein was able to do, what Putin knew about their government, and the insider trading. Part of what happened was the British government was going through, selling off the assets of the British government, privatizing really, and so Putin and his buddies were able to buy up sections of the British land. So it's as if the Putin is being an investor in England, and it's just profound.
It is crazy. I mean, the one. I just want to interrupt you for 1 second because you mentioned about the government selling off property to the private sector. That is the worst thing any government could do because what it's doing, it is selling its commons, and which means eventually it degrades into the same kind of feudalism and kingdom that we had before. Sorry for that interruption. Continue, my friend.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. And then, of course, we have to live up to the owner's demands and the
Right.
owner's values instead of setting values for ourselves. And it's, when you start looking at these guys, how is it that Elon can claim to be a trillionaire? He almost bankrupted Tesla, and then
Yes.
Tesla comes along and claims that they're going to give him $1 trillion package. A bankrupt company is going to be able to give $1 trillion to this fool, and it's if the business pages act like it's normal. It's
Well,
yeah. So
Well, you know what? It's so even more fearful, David. Elon Musk comes out and said, "Oh, we are going to be going to Mars and doing all these things." Who the hell is Elon Musk to be able to tell us that? Whether from his knowledge of how things work. I mean, remember how long ago self-driving cars would become a reality based on his communications, right? The thing about it is this: he gets mentioned on mainstream media because of the wealth that he possesses, not because of his insight, intellect, or morals. And we accept that. And it's something we have to get ourselves off of. David, wrap it up for me so I can go to Johnny.
Yeah, well, I actually his space program is part of the reason why you've got a cold snap right now. I don't know if you've kept up. The polar vortex is falling apart because of global warming. The Earth is getting warmer and warmer. The polar vortex, which has been spinning for eons, is now being disrupted and falling apart. And it's as if great chunks of cold are sloshing out of the polar
Mm,
vortex all the way down to Texas and Florida.
yeah,
And so the more rockets we send into outer space, the more we damage the ozone layer and the upper
right.
atmosphere,
You
and the
get that.
more collapse of the planet. So it's we've got to stop believing that these guys have got any common sense and start planting trees and getting back to reviving the planet.
Amen. Thank you very much, David. And thank you for calling in and thank you for your wisdom. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
In the wake of puncturing the atmosphere repeatedly with these assaults of burning fossil fuels to pretend we can do interstellar travel, which is ridiculous. A very, very theoretical Wednesday to you. So I'll finish your sentence for you. I will finish your sentence for you. This abomination. Remember, not too long ago, the other side of the aisle, they thought they were so funny and so clever. They would refer to Obama as the abomination. We're so funny and clever. He's an abomination. Yeah, come back at you, you mukes. This abomination, this welfare queen squatting in government housing on Pennsylvania Avenue, who has turned it into the outhouse, and this idea of putting his name above John F. Kennedy at the Kennedy Center, and he can't get anybody there to play there no more. So what does he do? Oh, he pretends, I'm going to shut it down for 2 years. That was the plan, so I could renovate
Right.
it. Yeah, right. You guys can't lead. You can't govern. You don't want to know how to govern or lead. You guys destroy everything you touch, including the post office. And I will share you that story tomorrow.
Thank you, my brother Johnny. And we won't allow them to destroy the post office, folks. I mean, the post office is one of the best run. I mean, I know they like to give it the third degree because of sometimes you go into a post office and the person isn't too kind to you. Well, I see how right here in Kingwood some of the people treat these folks as if they're rejects. Whenever I go to the post office, I am very respectful and thankful for the work that they do. And you know what? That is reciprocated. If I go into the post office, I get great treatment. You know why? Because it's reciprocated. People give back what you give them, right? The post office, don't let anybody fool you. It's one of the best run quasi governmental organization, bar none. Best run uh, company delivering packages. Let me tell you better. UPS, FedEx, DHL, they all are selective. In other words, the things that they can't do or the places they can't get to, you know who does it? the USPS, the United States Postal Service. Don't let any of these politicians fool you about privatization and all of that. They're the only one who can get a piece of first class mail to you for under $1. No other company, no private company has the wherewithal to do that. And you know what? They do it for a profit. The non-profit that they have right now is because of a false expense the Congress threw onto them. But we'll talk about that another day. Anyway, for welcome aboard, Lisa Blair. How you doing, Lisa, from Atlanta, Georgia? Joanne from Los Angeles, California. We have, of course, Lita Bearcat out of Austin, Texas. Judy. Uju, I think, is out of Florida. How you doing, beautiful? Judy, welcome aboard. Lynette, our resident communicator, and our beautiful Elizabeth Silek LaRue out of Mexico. How you doing? Deanna Rigden, Willis Calwood. Let's see who else we got here. Got a bunch in here. Can't call you all out. Stadium, thank you for being here as well. M. Hope, Marnie, Jane V in North Carolina. Enjoyed your book club. Let's see, ¿quién más tenemos aquí? If I don't call you, Carolyn Olson, Glenn Ryan, my brother from another mother, and Susan Ryan. Anyway, for my MAGA guys, let me give you one of your former heroes. Maybe you will see the light as well. Can we be so hopeful? Well, my congressman, Dan Crenshaw, Congressional District 2 is at it again. After a disastrous town hall meeting, he continues to put little videos out there with snippets of the little parts that he thinks would make him look good. I want this out of Marjorie Taylor's mouth for a lot of my MAGA folks. She has seen the light, albeit with some help. But for those of us here in this chat, we have a couple who continue to be slaves to the mental decline of well, you know what? I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
In poll after poll, election after election, voters are telling the Trump administration what they care about. And yet, the president continues to prioritize what he cares about, like building a 250-foot arch in D.C. that could dwarf the Lincoln Memorial. He said he wants it to be the largest in the world, or renovating the Kennedy Center today, a project that he suggested that would shutter the performing arts space for up to 2 years. So when asked about the state of MAGA 1 year in, former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, she didn't hold back.
MAGA is, I think people are realizing it was all a lie. It was a big lie for the people. What MAGA is really serving is, in this administration, who they're serving is their big donors.
Look, two things can be true at the same time. Even a broke clock is right twice a day. So yes, MAGA was all a lie. It was always a lie. It was always never about the people. I mean, Donald Trump is a master marketer, and he marketed himself to a large swath of the American electorate as a guy for the working man and woman, when he's really just, somebody that was using them as a footstool to, fill up his bank account. That being said, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I just want to continue to note that she only is here telling us the truth, apparently what she knew all along. I used to think she was a true believer. Now I kind of feel like she was perhaps playing a part because it fit her, because it benefited her. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is only at this point because they turned on her. She wouldn't be telling us the truth if Donald Trump didn't turn his ire onto her and her family. And there is something to be said about that. She has yet to atone for what she has done. I haven't heard her apologize to Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, election workers in Georgia who were targeted by the lies, these election lies of the president, amplified by herself and folks like Rudy Giuliani. Haven't heard her apologize to Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Haven't heard her apologize to the millions of people across this country who have been hurt, devastated, whose lives were turned upside down by the BS she is now so freely telling us that, it was always a ruse. Well, baby girl, where's your part to play in here? Or when are you going to say sorry? What are you going to do about it?
When you look at this decade, Republicans have tried to exist in Donald Trump's world until the bitter end. But then every single one of them realizes that unless you're loyal to the end, you don't have any relevance to them. And that's why I go back. Jeff Flake, the Arizona senator, back in June of 2017,
all day long.
He wrote a book back in June of 2017. It's worth picking up about that bargain, the grand bargain with Donald Trump, and that it's not worth it. So many did not listen to him. And yet that is where Marjorie Taylor Greene almost picking up. It took, though, 10 years later.
But the thing that seems even truer to me is that MAGA was always about Donald Trump. And I think that that is sort of the next piece, which is people really did want to see a system be shaken up. Absolutely. They wanted to see an economy that delivered for them. He got up there and he told them, I am your retribution. When in reality, it was the complete flip, Simone, right? They, by electing him, allowed him to come back to power and seek his retribution. And everything that we have been talking about this hour goes back to that. It is not necessarily even a worldview about how you make America great. It is about a personal fixation with retribution.
Literally, it is all about Trump. And honestly, I think we will study this for years and years to come. The con job he pulled on a large swath of the American electorate. The same way they got them to believe that, he's this MAGA king. They believe the big lie. They're believing these things that he's saying about Democrats and our democracy right now. It is, in fact, dangerous.
Just 27% say today that they support all or most of Trump's policies.
Only 27% support for his policies right now. Anyway, look, it is interesting because as more and more people, the MAGA people that still have a portion of the brain that can still work, that is, right? Because there are, in fact, some sycophants that have finally said that the brain is actually defective in this regards. And I'm not trying to be rude, but there are some with defective brains that it just won't compute. It just won't compute. But others are seeing the light. And the number that we are going to realize that whose brains are actually damaged, cult-like damage, as you see that number dwindle, it's at 27% now. The people who are able to who are not able to see the light. We are going to reach that point in science where we normally call it like a steady state error. In feedback control, we call it a steady state error. We're going to find what that steady state error of the American population is. But my God, even at 27%, that steady state error is too large. Folks, we have to get with the program. We have to get it right. Marjorie Taylor, I think Simone had it right. She knew the truth all along. She just made a profit knowing that MAGA could be profitable for her. I agree 100%. I think Patrick does. Yep. All right, let's jump to our La Preciosa Betty. Come on in, Betty.
Hi, Alberto. I hope what I have to say sticks. You know me.
Yes, ma'am.
On Stephen Miller, how does your garden grow? From your no nails on your toes to the big hole in your mouth. You produce delight and cruelty. Instigator. We will never, ever be ready for that. With Trump and his comrades, remember, Blue, it is always coldest before the dawn. When the sun comes up in the wintertime, that is us. And on the male persons, they see it all. You can trust them. I use them every day. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
Love you, Betty. Love you, Betty. Anyway, welcome aboard. Cheryl Elkins in the house, our activist out of Massachusetts. We are, by the way, I saw something that I wanted to read out there. Well, I missed it. Let's go to Donald. Come on in, Donald.
Good morning, Alberto. It's good to see you're out from underneath your rock, and you're just seeing how humanity actually is. Marjorie Taylor Greene did not have a coming to Jesus moment.
No, she had a Trump dump me moment.
if a politician's lips are moving, they're lying. And Obama's hope and change was, I hope I win the election. I'm gonna change my address and I'm gonna get paid. I've said that before. That devil does not dance in empty pockets, and that fool doesn't like you when you're knocked up or locked up. He keeps moving on. When you're poor, you're just poor. That's the way these people think. It's never going to change. And how can we get people to change? Because, see, people protected you when you were younger because they loved you. And then you had to go out into the world and actually see that the preacher is a narcissist, and the only reason he is up there was for his own benefit. You will see the truth, but at what cost? And that's what you had to learn and you had to go through. And you can tell people everything in the world, but they're going to stick their something in that light socket and find out it's electrifying. And that's how people learn.
You know what is so
you teach me
interesting with
something today that I don't know. Go ahead.
well, you know what is so funny about that? I remember when I came to the country, and I got paddled when I was back home when I did something wrong, or if I've tried to put my hands on the stove. And I remember having that argument as far as there are certain things where you just have to feel the pain. There are certain things where you just have to feel the pain. But Donald, my phones are ringing off the cabal. So what's it? Cabal? Anyway, my phones are
Have a
ringing. So
good one.
thank
Yes,
you, my
sir.
brother. You have a good one. All right,
All
let's
righty.
go to. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Jimmy. Come on in, Jimmy. You are gonna be hot in a minute. Well,
News.
you're the 90-year-old hot guy.
Yeah, there was a big warehouse somewhere in Texas that was for sale, and ICE wanted to buy it. They want to use it to put these people they're picking up, put them in this like a prison there, and the company that owned it turns out to be in Canada, and they decided they're not going to sell it to ICE. So there's some very good news there. And ICE needs to be totally shut down. Our members of Congress need to stop funding ICE. It's a horrible organization. Germany had the Nazis. We have ICE. And so that's some good news. And another advancement in technology, a friend of mine at church who I asked him if he was doing any traveling lately. He said, well, I'm going to Utah several times. His company will drill an 8,000-foot hole in the ground, almost 2 miles long, and then they put water in that hole, which will boil because of the heat down there, and they'll generate electricity from this geothermal well. Did you ever heard about something like that?
Absolutely. There are several ways, depending on what part of the country you're in, that they use they dig deeply for controlling the temperature of your home, because there's a constantly good temperature down there. Now, if you're close to geothermal rock, that is also something that you can do. But Jimmy, I got a boogie because there's a whole lot of calls. But thank you for your info as usual, my brother. Okay.
It's good to spread knowledge, learn something new, and then spread the knowledge.
And you learn something every day. You always bring us some good documentaries to listen to as well. Thank you, Jimmy. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Let's go to, I think next is Mike. Come on in, Mike. And welcome aboard Margaret Ryan from Eastern Washington. Come on in, Mike.
Hi, good morning, Alberto. So I thought it was interesting the amount of support that was coming from the people who originally supported Donald Trump. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas, and I don't know if you remember what a Trump supporter did to 26 human beings in El Paso. After that had happened, one of the victims' families actually took photographs with Donald Trump and the nephew who was their nephew, who was one of the survivors, who's both of that nephew's parents had died that day. So I'm kind of wondering, where is their sentiment now that we've been seeing all of the violent murders, the mistreatment, the killings of more Americans, because I'm adding that to George Floyd, to the 26 people killed at Walmart, to all of the things that have been happening now. What is the opinion of the mom of Jacqueline Nungaray? and all of the people who came out to support Donald Trump during the campaign. I mean, we haven't heard anything from these people. They're part of this. Are they part of this 26 or really low percentage that
No,
still
actually, no, we did the numbers on that actually. Finally the Latino population supporting Donald Trump has fallen to the ground. Okay. Again, the big problem, I can't go into detail with the Latino population, but there's a false notion that the Latino population is more homogeneous than it really is. You know, I am Latino from Panama, and I have shared a completely different experience from the particular group of Latinos from Cuba who came over after Castro. I share a lot more in common with the Latinos that are there that remained on the island. You know, so there's a whole lot of complexities there that isn't borne out, and why you see what happened. But you see, in the case of Stephen Miller and Donald Trump, they look at Latino as just these brown Mongols in this country that we need to rid ourselves of, and they never thought they would have made up the Cubans. They never thought they would have made up that part of the Latino Mongols that he thinks about as well. So I mean, it's amazing. First of all, how non-strategic Donald Trump has been, because he has lost an entire base who have decided, well, I may be a part of the what he thinks is Latino after all. Continue, brother, and then I gotta
Well,
go.
completely understood, and I'm not looking at it or framing it from a perspective as a Latino. I'm looking at it as a human being, as an American,
As you
someone
should.
who's seen all of these things happen. And I'm wondering, where are all the other human beings? Where are all of these other supporters of Donald Trump? And are they still thinking like Latinos, or are they thinking like human beings?
Thank you, Mike. You know what's so important
Not
about
not
what you
to
just
not
said?
to
Go ahead.
Yeah, not to say that Latinos aren't human beings, right? But
Right.
to frame it in a way that it's understood that we should be looking at this as human beings.
You nailed it. And let me tell you something. You remember when that last piece that I played, that I recorded yesterday at 3, when
Yep.
I speak about the mental issue, a real mental issue? I am not kidding. Like I
Correct.
said, I'm not trying to be rude. There is a mental issue. But let's talk about that another day, because I got a lot of calls, Mike. Okay?
Thank you, Hector.
Thank you. Gracias, mano. Let's go to Derek. Come on in, brother Derek. How you doing this morning? Great to hear from you.
Quickly, to the last caller, I love what he was saying.
Yes.
You know, the sad thing is that leadership reflects the people at that time. During the campaign, the people reflected, those who voted for him reflected Donald Trump and his views. That's why he's there. Now, moving on. Yes, Marjorie, MAGA is a lie, and you are a chief player in that lie.
Amen.
People like G6, Marjorie Taylor Greene, has to be watched at a protracted period of time. She was on Bill Maher just recently, saying that she agreed with the arrest of Don Lemon and the face law. Well, the people need to know, too, that there's also a two-face law. Watch that night train, y'all, because you can be ran over in the dead of night. Thanks, Umberto.
Derek, that was a good one, Derek. I saw how you squeezed that one in there. Thank you, Derek. We have the smartest callers, man. We got the smartest callers. And LBW, La Profesora, is in the house. I love me, my teachers. She says he sure has gotten a lot of brown men to be in his goon squad. It's absolutely abhorrent. Again, that's the complexity of Latinidad, LBW. And there was this Latino with a strong accent arresting this guy, and he looked at the guy and he said, the guy said, "Why are you coming at me?" The guy said, "You have an accent." The guy looked at the officer and said, "You fool! You have an accent too." it was funny, the interaction. But anyway, let's go to Sister Patty. Come on in, Patty.
Good morning. As we go through this constant daily fire hose of atrocities, just yesterday, the Pentagon threatening scouting because they are inclusive. Our public spaces, the boundary waters being opened up to mining, the Kennedy Memorial closing so he can tear it down. He said he'd keep the steel, but that's all. Of course, the big one is everything he's doing to prevent a fair election with his nationalizing. Obviously, the Constitution does not allow it, but that doesn't prevent this administration. It is on us to constantly be on our representatives, to be telling the truth. This has to be stopped. And when they say, well, we're not doing anything effectively, we absolutely are. We're seeing it in the special elections, but we're also seeing it in the rest of the world when they see that we are not giving in. It gives them incentive to help us against this administration, and we have to keep that in mind.
You nailed it. I don't know if you see all the reporting I've been doing about our local group here in Kingwood and why I constantly uplift them, because they every week they get bigger. Every week their voices get louder. Every week more people give them context, or they give people context. So Patty, you're absolutely right. I got to go. I got some more calls, but you nailed it, sister. It's about what we do. Earlier on in one of the pieces that I posted, it's about us, not about the politician. It's about us. This is our country. This is our government, and once we stand up, things will change. Thank you, Minnesota, for what you're doing, and thank you, Patty, for calling in. Let's go to Ray. Come on in, Ray.
Yeah, top of the morning, Egberto. You said something, what I call a Freudian slip when you say, let me get back to the cabal. And I say, you know what, speaking of the cabal, you basically gave me an opportunity to come into what I was going to say. And, you really hit the nail on the head when you kind of spit that soliloquy out. And it reminded me of my favorite acronym, which, I could say is radio friendly. When you said that, a lot of these people in the Epstein class, they get so much money that they shield themselves from everyday problems, and they just run out of stuff to do. So all they figure out how to do is how to exploit, people that are of a lesser privilege than they are. And you said it your best when I say my acronym, they not worth sugar, honey, iced tea. You know what I mean? So
yes.
They have taken a place in society where they feel like they're above the law, and we need to make this society a place where it pretty much equalizes wealth and health in the same instance. And when I say wealth and health in the same instance, health doesn't care how much money you have, what family you came from. If you're gonna kick the bucket, God doesn't care about any of that if you believe in that. So I need us to live in a society where we don't have a two-tier justice system where it doesn't care what family you came from, how much wealth. If you did such crimes that are heinous as these people, you need to do the time, and you need to atone for your missteps in society, and you need to be shamed for it. But these people, because they have so much money and wealth to shield them, they basically think they can do whatever they want, and we the people need to show them otherwise. Thank you,
Ray. And you nailed something very important, because right now we are blaming Trump for all the slow release of the Epstein files, etc. But let's realize that some of these Epstein files are in fact being released under Trump. What happened under Biden, Bush, Obama? All of these deviants were there all during those administrations, and again, their money saved them in every administration. So, let's be frank about this as well. But hey, Brother Ray, I see you at 3 because I got to go to Margaret, okay?
All right, brother. Take care.
Thank you, brother. Let's go to Margaret. Good morning, Margaret. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Just a couple of things. If we look at a quarter century ago when ICE was started because of 9/11, if we took all that money now and put it towards our immigration system that has been just shoved to the side, there's no judges, dockets are 2-3 years long, and we spent that money on upgrading our system to welcome and have our immigrants that want to be free and become citizens, what a great country we could become again. Of note, small business authority has changed the rules where they want 100% of all their loans go to Americans. So just a thought, imagine, and what we need to do is be aware of the situation, look at your candidates, support those that are younger, progressive, and know what the future is going to hold for America for all. That's all I have to say.
Before you go, Margaret, let me just tell you, thank you for that. That's an important statement. And the thing about it, of what you're saying, there are many. Look, I talk to so many people all when we're out in the field in our rallies, and you go around and you ask and you talk people why you're here and what you believe, etc. When you talk to people by email or by chat, and these words that are coming out of your mouth, there are so many out there with it that somehow feel locked in. And let me tell you, the fact that you're calling in here and putting this out, a lot of people are listening to that right now and saying, I believe exactly what Margaret believed. I am actually going to be more boisterous about it. I am going to do something about it. It's all about what we do. And thank you for those statements, my friend.
You're welcome. You have a good day.
You too. Anyway, folks, we are at 51 right now. I can barely get this last piece in. I will. I think I want you to hear what occurred in Kingwood when our congressman came, and then we'll close this baby out. Well, my congressman, Dan Crenshaw, Congressional District 2 is at it again. After a disastrous town hall meeting, he continues to put little videos out there with snippets of the little parts that he thinks would make him look good. Well, this one I think makes him look even worse. For after all, the party that believes in the sanctity of life and also the ability to carry a gun, your Second Amendment rights, he completely blew it here because he forgot the history. I tell you what, take a look at his little clip, and then we're going to show you where he erred.
And this guy in particular that you have on a picture there, so that was the second time he was encountering law enforcement. The first time he went and broke their taillights. So here's a useful piece of information for anybody. Don't get into a fist fight with cops while carrying a gun. It's a really bad idea. Don't do it. I mean, don't get into a fist fight with cops, period, but definitely don't do it carrying a weapon. It's a...
Second Amendment for you?
Yeah, no, he's allowed to have his rights to carry a gun, but you have to carry it. The Second Amendment, you carry it responsibly. I don't carry my gun and then go fight police.
Maybe Dan Crenshaw should remember January 6th and how all those armed people went to the Capitol and how they attacked and fought police officers.
Trump, we are still taking metal, sharpened objects, missiles, to include bottles and rocks, and hand-thrown chemical-grade fireworks. We need patriots abroad.
Jimmy, get him to the back. Get him to the back. Get him to the back. Let's get some fresh faces up front.
Maybe Dan Crenshaw should remember that Rittenhouse went into a crowd with an AR-15 and murdered 2 people. Well, oh my God, he said it wasn't murder. He got off. I wonder why.
As Rittenhouse walks away from Rosenbaum's body, others in the crowd try and chase him down, including Anthony Huber, who hit Rittenhouse with a skateboard. Rittenhouse's attorneys say the teen shot and killed Huber in self-defense. A third person was shot and injured.
Let's be clear here, folks. The hypocrisy of Dan Crenshaw, the hypocrisy of the right, the hypocrisy of the conservative movement, the lack of morality and the lack of believement in the sanctity of life should have everyone voting the way that, to put it bluntly, maybe the way Jesus would. Anyway, folks, that's it. That's it. We are at 55. Let me throw it to the studio to hear from El Señor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
Oh, nothing from me. What you got, Jack? Jack says he's cool, so we're cool. Take it home, Egberto.
We are cool. We are cool. Well, anyway, folks, look, when Margaret called, I love what Margaret had to say, and that had to do with it's all on us. So let's not forget that. Let's not forget that the change starts with us. It's not about hope. Who said, I love what Donald said. I mean, some people get upset about it, but it was hope when he talked about hope I'll win and I'll change my address. You know, lately I've been talking to people a lot about stop trusting hope. Stop believing in hope. Hope doesn't do a darn thing. The only thing that works is what you are willing to get up and do. What you're willing to do by sharing stuff, what you're willing to do by getting off your butt if you can, because not everybody can, and go out there on March 28 when we have the huge No Kings march to show that we are taking our country back, to stop believing in the millionaires and billionaires. Well, I shouldn't say the millionaires, and the billionaires that despise you. The billionaires that look at you as simply a cog. Well, folks, Howard is about to kick me off, so let me tell it this way. You can reach me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com, kpft@politicsdoneright.com. The rest of the program, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I love you all. That's from the depths of my heart. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute.